Hello everybody and welcome back to our channel. Again, it is just me today. If you guys have noticed, I have baby number 2 with me, sleeping peacefully. Our last video that we had uploaded was our birth vlog of welcoming her into the world, and we're so excited that she's here. It's been about 2 weeks now. Actually 2 weeks to this day. And I had mentioned at the end of the birth vlog that I wanted to kind of sit down with you guys and rehash everything that had went on, because genuinely that was the best experience I have ever had. It was so magical and I really love my birth experience. And if you have been following along for a really long time, with baby number 1, the experience was extremely traumatic, and I wanted to kind of rehash my birth story with a little more detail and how it was redeeming for me, because I know there's a lot of fear that wraps around labor and delivery, especially with subsequent pregnancies. And I want this to just be words of encouragement to you guys if you have had similar experiences, if you're going into labor and delivery fearful and all those things. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'll try my best to be snappy and not word vomit for you guys. So going into this second birthing experience, last time I did get induced at 41 weeks, and I had been dealing with prodromal labor this time around. If you guys don't know what that is, that's like basically when you have fake labor and it progresses, it feels pretty strong, and then it just like fizzles out. And I had been dealing with that for like at least a week or two. Every night, same time, I would get super nauseous, really intense contractions, and then it would just die. And I was feeling very fatigued and very discouraged with my body's progression and all that jazz. And we had gone to our 40-week appointment, and at my 40-week appointment, I had made absolutely no progress. And we were facing the 41-week induction date, which is what I was comfortable with going to. I did not want to go to 42 weeks because I had a very big baby last time, and that was another cause for concern. It caused her a lot of stress when it came down to pushing, and she had a lot of heart decels because of it and all that. With that being said, baby weight was a major concern of going longer in my pregnancy. So I kind of was faced with the battle of going to 41 weeks and reaching that induction date with a bigger baby, or I can kind of take matters into my own hands and set an earlier induction date and kind of just release myself from the desire of going into labor spontaneously, which was a huge desire of mine going into this pregnancy. I wanted it to be as natural and in tune with my body as I possibly could be. When I was faced with that decision, it was really gut-wrenching at first, and there was a lot of tears that were shed, but with the help of Cameron and my mom and just like kind of talking me down, I was able to rework in my brain, even going into the induction date over the next 2 or 3 days, preparing my mind and getting myself in the right headspace for it. This was Cameron's suggestion. I actually journaled of what it meant to release myself from the idea of going into labor spontaneously and what it meant to like give that up. And it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. It just took a lot of reworking in my brain, and I was able to do it, and I was able to get in a better headspace and get excited for an induction date. I was able to prepare my mind and prepare myself for leaving my firstborn at the house and being present in the next 2 days, knowing that I was going to be leaving for the hospital on a specific time and date. That was okay and really needed to happen, honestly. If you wait to the end of the video, this was like such a God thing that I literally can't explain it any other way of why I decided to get induced at 40 weeks rather than 41 weeks. Like life-saving type of things. So wait until the end and I will fully explain that to you guys. So fast forward, we're going into the induction day. It's the morning of, we're getting set up, we're really excited, nervous, all the feels. I'm starting to feel the feelings of like, the history is not going to repeat itself. Like, my body is telling me, okay, you're getting induced again, it's gonna be bad again, but knowing that this is a completely different experience, completely different day, different baby, different mindset, like, I was just trying to have the whole theme of this labor and delivery be redeeming. And the theme for this labor and delivery was redemption, because you just gotta watch my last birth vlog and everything that went wrong with it with my first child. I'm just gonna lay out a couple of the things that went wrong. I was hypercontracting with the Cytotech, which was a means of induction. I had really painful cervical checks. I also had a failed epidural. That was so freaking scary. I was not planning on going unmedicated, and when you have a failed epidural, you're like, what the heck is actually going on? Am I gonna push this baby out unmedicated? Very scary experience. I also got an episiotomy, which, if you don't know what that is, that's basically where they snip you to let the baby come out. And it was a non-emergency one. Like, it was just kind of the doctor pushed for it, and I didn't advocate for myself very well, and so I ended up with an episiotomy. So all that being said, lots of things that I was fearful of going in, and right off the bat, me and my nurses were on the same page of like, so many things happened to you this first time, like, we are going to absolutely make sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that like, no matter what happens, like, you feel like you're in control, and this is your birth, like, this is your day, we're gonna like be here for you, we're rooting for you, like, redemption, 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 right? I felt super comfortable with my nurses and the game plan we kind of talked about. So then we kind of transitioned into talking through, okay, what are the means of induction for me? Obviously Pitocin is one. The other one is Cytotech, and that is what I used last time, but I used it vaginally, and it's a lot stronger in that way. Vaginally, you take it every 4 hours, and that caused me to hypercontract. With Kaiser, they actually had an oral option, which was lower dose, a lot more tame, and it was every 2 hours. And another big piece of that was I did not have to get cervical checks, which was so amazing and was a breath of fresh air, because seriously guys, like, it's either you experience really painful ones or it doesn't bother you. I feel like there's not one or the other. I have a very posterior cervix, and a lot of the doctors can't even reach me. Like, that's how bad it is. Obviously, they had to check me right out off the beginning, and my midwife who was checking me, I kind of went through the motions. I'm like, okay, I have really painful cervical checks, so could you just start off slow, blah, 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 and then just anticipating immense pain. And she's like, girl, I'm not here to torture you. Like, I can give you some medicine before we do this. And I was like, excuse me, what? Like, that's an option? So they hooked me up to a dose of fentanyl, and I was feeling really great after that. And I only had to get 2 checks throughout that whole labor and delivery experience. They just let me labor on my own, and it was up to my discretion if I wanted to get checked or not. That was amazing. That was like weight lifted off my shoulders, literally before labor even started. Before I even got a pill to start my induction, I already felt relieved that I did not have to deal with those painful cervical checks. So that was awesome. Redemption number 1. Moving right along, my birth team had arrived. And another thing with this is my birth team literally doubled this time around. I had Cam and my mom with my first birth, and this time I had 2 more ladies that mean a lot to me, and I really valued them being there. They're both moms. They've both gone through it very recently, actually. They have 2 kids who are under a year old, and one did it completely unmedicated. So I'm like, I am in good hands. My mom was really good at just comforting me as a mom, and Cam was the lighthearted energy, and he brought the fun and like the lightheartedness to it. But when things got really scary, he was there, and he's like my rock, right? And the 2 other girls, Maddie and Matea, my sister-in-law and my cousin, they both had different aspects that they brought to the table as well. Maddie, the one who did it unmedicated, she was like very methodical in like talking me down and being like, okay, this contraction's almost over, like they're all numbered, you know, you can do this, you can switch positions. And she was just very strategic in like keeping me focused and not like losing it. And Matea was that way as well, but more soft-spoken and like had the like peaceful energy to it. She was like breathing with me and brushing my hair and like constantly being like, okay, do you want to try like the birthing combs or maybe like some gum and all those things. And so all of that being said, like I was so set up for success just through a birthing team that had variety in that way. And this is when things really started to pick up. Fast forward, I got like 2 cytotechs in me at this point. We're a couple hours in. And another thing that I was really rooting for this time around is to be able to like free moving intermittent monitoring. And I know with an induction, obviously it elevates you to more high risk. Intermittent monitoring is like not as guaranteed, right? When you're going into an induction. I knew that going in, but because my contractions I was not hypercontracting this time, I was able to go cordless completely. And I was able to, walk the halls and go on the birthing ball and move around, go to the bathroom if I wanted. I could labor in the bathtub, which I didn't do, but I could have if I wanted to. I really loved that, and I was able to do that for the majority of my labor until obviously I got the epidural. So redemption number 2, that was another big one, is I got to freely move around, and they were very big on that and was just like, absolutely, we'll make it work. We were starting to assess that things weren't really progressing as they had hoped. And so Pitocin did get brought up, and that was one thing that I was really, really not wanting to do. I didn't have to last time, and I was scared of Pitocin, like super duper scared of Pitocin. Usually their protocol is they start you on the lowest dose and then they kick it up every hour in like small increments until they stop it, and then they like keep you at that level, right? And with them, the nurses, like, at no point in time did they push this on me. It was my decision fully, and I really, really appreciated that. I did feel throughout this whole process that, like, I was in control and they were on my team rather than labor kind of happening to me. And so I did decide to eventually go on Pitocin after maybe like 8-ish hours, I would say. I was 1 centimeter dilated and I was 80% effaced. This is when things got crazy in regards to the fears that were popping up, the discouragement that was creeping in. Things escalated really quickly. Like, there's a lot of details that got missed in our birth vlog, so buckle up because the next few hours get really freaking crazy. So the Pitocin definitely got things moving, and I felt like I was, starting to do good. They were starting to get a little more strong, and still not necessarily progressing like an insane amount, right? But I felt like, okay, maybe I will start dilating, like, I don't know. And it kind of, a few hours later, it hit a point where I was so, like, in my own head and telling my mom, I'm like, I should be, like, out of breath, like, in pain by now, and I'm just not. And so I'm like, Mom, like, there's no way I'm dilating. And my mom was like, honey, you do not need to focus on the numbers. Like, that's what you did last time, and it didn't help one bit. She's like, every contraction is getting you somewhere. Do not hyperfixate on the numbers of dilation. She's like, that means nothing. Just focus on you, focus on your coping mechanisms. Like, you're doing it right now. Like, you're actually doing it. Literally, as we're having that conversation, it's in between contractions, right? The next contraction, my water breaks. And a big thank you to Gem for sponsoring this portion of the video. I've been using the Gem Bites for quite a while now as a part of my daily routine, and I have notoriously not been good at remembering to take my vitamins in the morning. And the fact that Gem is a real food bite gets me way more excited to take my vitamins in the morning. Their bites are formulated by nutrition experts on the Gem Scientific Advisory Board, and they have a very holistic approach using real food ingredients, which I absolutely love. You can see on the back of the package all the ones that they use and even some of the vitamins that are correlated with those ingredients. So like quinoa, you get your B vitamins, chickpeas, you get vitamin K2, sunflower, vitamin E, all that good stuff. They're also HSA, FSA eligible, so if you're already planning on investing in your health with Gem, definitely utilize that funding if you can. But yeah, they are super yummy, and I look forward to eating them every single morning, knowing that I am fueling my body well, especially in the postpartum period. But yes, with all that being said, I will put our specific link in the description. It's going to give you a special code off of your first month if you use our code CAMANDMAL. Back to the video. It was straight out of a movie, guys. This felt like I was literally sucker punched in the vajayjay, and the floodgates opened and everything shot out of me at once. Like, I literally had no more liquid inside of me. I had all my girls around me. Cam actually had gone to the snack bar, and all of them were around me and, working through the contractions, and I gasped so loud, and they were all just like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I'm like, my water water broke. This is where the details get crazy and what we didn't like really include that much into the birth vlog. I immediately felt pressure, you guys. Like, she shot down and I was like, oh no. Like, this is not good. This is not good because I want the epidural, obviously. I was not planning on going unmedicated. Did I prepare for the worst? Yes, because I had a failed one before and I knew that there was a probability because I have scoliosis. I had told them as soon as my water broke, within like 10 seconds, I was like, I need the epidural absolutely right now. Luckily, my birth team was absolutely fantastic in this and they knew my story the first time around and they knew how to talk me down. With my first birth, with the failed epidural, the one thing that I'm like kicking myself for is I did not prepare for that. I didn't really have the coping skills to go far unmedicated. Like, I super didn't. And this time around, I led way more heavy on like the hypnobirthing, the affirmations, the breathing techniques, the birthing combs. I had way more under my belt this time to get me a lot further unmedicated. I knew that if anything were to have happened like this again, that I would not let labor happen to me, that I would like take advantage of the situation and like really hone in on like my body knows what it's doing. Like, it can do this if it must. If it must be unmedicated, if I must feel these sensations, then okay. I kind of lost it mentally, but a lot less than I did the first time. And with my support team, they were helping me focus on like, okay, you just have to keep breathing. You just have to keep breathing. And I did. I eventually got the epidural. I was fully in transition. I absolutely know it without a shadow of a doubt. She was right there, ready to pop out while I was getting the epidural. And I felt so much pressure. I remember sitting up like this and I was looking at Maddie and I was like, this is not good. She's here. She's basically here. She's gonna be here in like 2 seconds, right? On the other side of it, like after giving birth, looking back on it, it is like the most empowering thing to have experienced making it that far. I'm so glad it happened the way that it did, honestly, because it kind of proved to me that I can do it, you know? And that wasn't in my birth plan, but the mindset shift that I had this time around made it so much more enjoyable. I was able to get to 9.5 centimeters without the epidural really kicking in. It was fully unmedicated on one side up until the point where I started pushing, really. It was a way better experience. I made it a lot farther, and I think a lot of it has to do with like those coping mechanisms that I brought into this labor. Even though my epidural also kind of failed this time too, it was redeemed because of my mindset going into it and my support team being able to help me through it. I'm not telling a soul this, by the way. This is just between me and the Lord. And I take the peanut ball away and I literally cross my legs. And with every contraction, I'm just like, no. She's not coming out yet. Not yet. And my poor nurse just kept asking me, she was like, I really think we need to check your cervix. Obviously, they can't force it upon me, right? But she was just like, I really think we need to. If you're feeling pressure, you better tell me because I have to prepare. And, you know, I probably in hindsight should have, but I didn't because I'm so stubborn and was so fixated on like, no, I literally cannot start pushing. I know I probably needed to, but I didn't. I super didn't, and I held it for as long as possible. Like, I would say probably like 45 minutes. Me and my nurse were just going back and forth of like, you really need to get checked. And I'm like, please just let me get one more refill of this epidural. I need it to work, and I do not want that. I was able to get a refill after a certain amount of time had passed, whatever. And my midwife comes in and she's like, girl, you are ready to push. Like, let's just get this thing going. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I totally was. Like, I was right there, 9.5, ready to go. Quite literally the whole time. I felt her. Like, she was right there. And it was just really cool. And I was a lot more present this time around during the pushing process. It was so cool. My midwife was awesome. and really helped coach me through, moving positions too. Like, I was not just on my back the whole time. I was moving from side to side, pushing on my sides, lifting up my legs, constantly like shifting, and I loved the collaboration on that. I didn't feel like labor was happening to me. I felt like I was collaborating with it. Like, I was so much more in tune with my body this time around. And yeah, I pushed for like 45 minutes, and then little babe was here. She made her appearance, and I actually got golden hour, another redemption. Redeemed. I did not get golden hour last time. I had 2 hours with this little bean, and it was magical. Absolutely amazing. I was nauseous again this time, but they had actually suggested putting Zofran on my IVs, and so I had a constant dose of Zofran that kept my nausea at bay. Another redemption. That nausea was like not really a super big factor in my labor, which I was very thankful for. Just overall, it was such an amazing experience, and I'm so incredibly thankful. Now to the insane part, you guys. Buckle up, because this is like literally the most mind-blowing thing that I still can't wrap my brain around it. If you get queasy, maybe don't listen to this. When I push her out comes these like crazy big blood clots. And my midwife didn't really say anything about it, and obviously I was like in a daze and was like, oh baby, like so excited. So I didn't even see it at this point. And after the fact, obviously you like push the placenta out too, and my placenta also had like hundreds of blood clots. And that was super weird, right? My midwife is so stumped on this, and she was like, you have like a lot of blood clots on your placenta, like hundreds, like 500 blood clots. Did this like come up in any ultrasounds, anything? Like, did you have any awareness of this going on? And I was like, no, I got no clue for you, girl. I have no information. And she's like, okay, so this is like really weird. She was perfectly healthy throughout my entire labor and delivery. No heart decels, no nothing, which another redemption. My last baby had many heart decels, and it was so terrifying every single time. She had none, and it was such a blessing. Both of us were perfectly fine. For that to come out of me was like, what is going on? The only explanation that we have for this, which my midwife has never seen anything like it in her entire career. My mom was a labor and delivery nurse for 25 years. She has never seen anything like this. The only speculation that we have is that I had a placental abruption that was actively clotting and healing itself. But placental abruption is like a major issue. It's a major issue, and it's kind of like a life or death situation, and in some cases, depending on the severity. Mine was severe. The whole back of my placenta covered in blood clots. Till that 40-week appointment, on the drive home, did I make the decision to call up my midwife again and be like, hey, actually, I think I want to push up my induction date. Who knows the situation that it would have been if I decided to wait. And overall, I am just like so thankful that the Lord provided this experience for me, and I did just have such a amazing labor and delivery. And I actually want to share this text because it's such a great description of the way that I felt. One of my good mentors and friends, after she was induced with her first, it was a bad experience. She was so apprehensive when they scheduled an induction with her second kid. Like you, though, I walked into my second delivery having worked through some things and owning the current decision. God brought me through a beautiful delivery with my second, not without its fears. And looking back, I know that what he was birthing in me was the tangible knowledge that he can redeem all things, even through my most feared means, even through what seemed to be what I, in my limited understanding and flesh, would reject He alone is sovereign and in control. He alone is trustworthy. That is just so, like, it literally gives me chills because that is so what I experienced. I just hope that this is an encouragement to you, that there are some pieces that you guys can take away from this. That's my story, and if you guys have made it this far, thank you for listening. I love you guys so, so much, and I'm so thankful for every single one of you. Without further ado, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Love you guys.